In the midst of all the turmoil in the Middle East, a prominent Egyptian sheikh is calling on Donald Trump to follow guidance. Yes, in a video, Sheikh Mustafa al-Adawi made the following summons. Quote, "A message to Trump, the great one of America. Peace to whoever follows guidance. Submit and all will go well for you. Submit and God will reward you twice. If you wield authority, you will be held accountable. Know, Mr. President, that you will die and be resurrected alone. You will be held accountable and punished." He repeats, "You will be held accountable and punished. So do righteous deeds. God granted you kingship, and he alone can withdraw it. Do not be deceived by being a king or president. Those before you have died. Where is Johnson? Where is Nixon? Where is Kennedy? They all passed away and were buried under the earth. Do not be deluded by military funerals or wreaths of flowers on graves. Know that your deeds will be exposed one day. You are in the path of arrogance, and the Lord of glory said, he created you from weakness, then made after weakness strength, then after strength weakness and white hair. So submit and all will go well for you. God will reward you twice." On the surface, these seem like philosophical observations worthy of a Marcus Aurelius. The sheikh simply appears to be warning an aging Trump to repent, stop doing evil in the Middle East, follow proper guidance, and therefore find peace before meeting your maker. In reality, the entire message is infused with threats of jihad, specifically threats for Donald Trump to embrace Islam or else. And I know this because the formulaic words the sheikh used, which I first dissected in a 20-year-old article when Osama bin Laden was in the habit of uttering those words, have a long and storied history. First, a little background. Soon after the September 11, 2011 attacks, Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden began sending messages and communiques to the West, many of which I translated and annotated in the Al-Qaeda Reader, published in 2007. Just as Sheikh al-Adawi is doing now, so too did bin Laden begin and end his messages with the phrase, "Peace to whoever follows guidance." What were Americans and Europeans to understand by this simple statement? Considering that it was always anchored in messages rife with grievances and accusations, which culminated with threats of reciprocal treatment, those addressed assumed that bin Laden's guidance was for the West to terminate hostilities against the Islamic world and thereby earn peace for itself. Hence why the Al-Qaeda leader would say things such as an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, or, quote, "The time to settle accounts has arrived. Just as you kill, so shall you be killed. Just as you bomb, so too shall you be bombed." In context, then, the overall impression that bin Laden gave, and that Sheikh al-Adawi is now giving, is that whoever follows guidance, i.e. whoever follows the wise advice being offered, will have peace. Live and let live. In reality, a long and bellicose history revolves around this seemingly peaceful proverb, "Peace to whoever follows guidance," a history which those being addressed are totally oblivious of. This phrase was in fact first uttered by the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad, and had nothing to do with payback or a desire to live and let live. After Muhammad had converted most of Arabia to Islam by the power of the sword, he set his sight on his neighbors, including the Christians to the north and west, known in the Arabic sources as the Romans. In this context of wars and rumors of wars, Muhammad sent the following terse message to the Eastern Roman Emperor, Heraclius, in 622 AD. It reads, quote, "In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful, from Muhammad, the messenger of God, to Heraclius, the Roman Emperor, peace to whoever follows guidance. Submit and all will go well for you." The translation, "submit and all will go well for you," is based on a two-word Arabic pun, aslam taslem, which most literally means submit and have peace, or submit and be whole. After Heraclius refused to submit, that is, convert, to Islam, jihad was declared against Christendom, as enshrined in Quran 929. And in a few decades, nearly two-thirds of the then Christian world, including Spain, all of North Africa, Egypt, and Greater Syria, were conquered. Such are the fruits of this seemingly innocuous phrase, aslam taslem, which Sheikh al-Adawi is now directing at Trump. From Islam's perspective, the latest Heraclius, or Roman emperor. Incidentally, keep in mind that it's a fundamental tenet of Islam for jihad to persevere until the entire globe is either converted to, or at least governed by, Islam. When the abode of war, i.e. the non-Islamic world, or in Arabic, Dar al-Harb, has been subsumed into the abode of Islam, that is, Dar al-Salam, then and only then can there be peace. From here we have a better understanding of the etymological relationship between the words Islam and peace. a relationship often distorted through conflation. Even though Islam or Islam and the Arabic word for peace are formed from the same three-lettered root, salama, and thus are in fact related, only the word salam means peace. Islam or Islam means submit or surrender. The connection between the two words then is clear. In Islam, peace is the goal, but only through submission, just as Muhammad plainly proclaimed to Heraclius, and just as Egyptian Sheikh al-Adawi is proclaiming to the American president now. There are three other points to bear in mind whenever Muslims come around offering peace to whoever follows guidance. First, powerful allusions in imagery, and thus context, are established, earning those Muslims more legitimacy within the Islamic world. For now they are seen as walking in the footsteps of Muhammad, using his exact terminology and addressing it to the spiritual descendants of Heraclius in Christian Rome, that is the West, as the age-old struggle between Islam and infidelity, the abode of Islam and the abode of war, rages on. Second, as with all of Muhammad's habits, his approach to infidels, first demanding that they submit, then attacking them if they refuse, has become standardized. In other words, before attacking infidels, Muslims, like their prophet, should first call on them to submit to Islam. By evoking the opening sentence of Muhammad's archetypal message, they legitimize the subsequent terror they plan on visiting upon the infidels. Third, and most importantly, Muslims who use Muhammad's phraseology accomplish all of the above while simultaneously fooling the people of the West, who, according to their own epistemology, assume that the guidance through which Muslims are offering peace is simply a poetic way of saying, leave us alone and we'll leave you alone. Yet the all-important historical and religious connotations, much acknowledged and appreciated in the Islamic world, are altogether missed in the West. The good news is that 2 decades after I first exposed this Eslem-Teslem business, many are no longer fooled. For example, several outlets that translated Sheikh al-Adawi's words literally translated his Eslem Teslem, submit, have peace, as, quote, convert to Islam. While that's not exactly what he said, and thus Muslims can argue that those crazy Islamophobes are mistranslating his words, it is as seen what he meant. Anyway, now you know the particulars behind Islam's ancient summons. More importantly, now you know that the nonsensical claim that Islam means peace, as President George W. Bush literally claimed days after 9/11, is pure hogwash. It means submit to Islam and then have peace. Bye.